Howdy! How's everybody in YouTube land today? My goodness gracious, here we are just whipping our way right on through January. And soon the year will be 1/12 of the way over before we even knew it got started. I have a piece of wood here. Actually, it's a cup that was turned on a lathe by my good friend Donald Vlogsify at Donald Vlogsify's workshop. And I'm leaving a link in the description so that you can check out his channel and see some of the things he does. He does some funny stuff over there, and he does some serious stuff over there, and he does some beautiful stuff over there. I really highly recommend going over and subbing up to him and checking out the beautiful things that he does and the crafty way, creative way he goes about making things too. Kind of makes you think, you know, gets your thinking process going. And a while back, he turned this bowl or this little cup, however you want to word this, on his lathe. And it, just a real pretty piece. And I was real impressed with the way he did it. And then he wanted to do some more work on this. So he built this jig thing for his lathe. And it wasn't strong enough to hold it. And when he went to turn it, he had this all hooked up there to the lathe. And when it went to turn it, the jig, I guess, for lack of knowing exactly what the right terminology is, gave loose. And this went flinging across the room like a rocket. And in the process, it got a gouge on it there. And it got another little tiny gouge on it there. And there's a little gouge on the bottom, but I'm not concerned about the little gouge it's got on the bottom because nobody's going to see that. It's going to be, sitting on the table. Now, when I saw this on his show, I thought it was way worse than what it is. Because, now that I'm laying an eye to it, my finger covers right over that little spot there and shoot fire. That's a little, look at that next to my fingernail. Little tiny spot there. Don't amount to much. And so I'm thinking that I can just patch those. What I had originally intended is I was going to make a yarn cup out of this, where you put your ball of yarn there in the cup, and then you got a place cut out around, and then a little circle down here, and you slide your little thread of yarn through, and it comes out this hole, out to your project, and it keeps your yarn from rolling all around in the floor and getting dusty and, picking up anything. If you got dogs or birds or, like I do, it's bound to have a dog hair or a bird feather or something floating around someplace. So it keeps your yarn clean. That's what I had intended to do with it. Because I thought this was way worse. I thought this was a way bigger gouge. But since it's so tiny, I'm just going to patch it and then see what it looks like with the patch. I may have to blend it in with just a little bit of paint, maybe, to really, make it so that it doesn't stand out on the piece. Although, you set this on a table or something, you just turn it back up to the wall and nobody'd see that place on it. That'd be simple enough. But I'm going to try to patch it a little bit. We're going to see how this works. And it just keeps wanting to roll. Let me set a bottle of paint or something against it there. And I'm going to get out this Quickwood. Now, I've used this on my show before. This is some pretty slick stuff right here. This is a wood putty epoxy. And it dries hard as a brick bat. And any of you that have any southern raising, that's hard. You've probably heard relatives talk about that. Now, I'm going to cut a little piece of it off of the end of this thing and show you here if I can get her cut loose. Take my little sculpting tool to cut it. It's got plastic around it. We'll get the plastic peeled off of it once we get it cut loose from there. Yeah, come on, cooperate with me. There we go. And we're going to stick that back into the tube, the big chunk of it, so that it don't dry out. Now, this, you got to peel the plastic off of it, and it's tan on the outside, and the inside of it is a white color, off-white color. And this doesn't activate until you get it all pushed together. So we'll get the wrapper off of it here, because you don't want to be trying to work it with the wrapper on it. And you just keep working it, just piece of putty. And the idea is you want to get it all mixed in good. So it takes a lot of work in it to work both those parts, the white and the tan, all together. You don't want to see no white streaks in it or tan streaks. You want it all to be one color when you get done working it. The more you work it, the warmth from your hands makes it more and more pliable. And it's just like a piece of gum. Just keep working it. If you don't work it enough, it's not going to get mixed together enough. And so then when it sets up, it's not going to set up good and hard the way you want it to set up. You want this to set up really good and hard. I've probably got way too much of it mixed up. I'll grab I've got a, you think I'd see it right now? I had a mold sitting over here. There it is. A couple of them. And whatever I've got left, I'll just pop in a mold and mold up an embellishment for another project. Don't let it go to waste, because once you got it mixed up, you know, then you use it or lose it kind of thing. I ain't no saving it. I just keep rubbing it around. I've got it between my hands. I'll rub it out into just a strip, and then I'll roll it into a ball. And I'll rub it back out into a strip again. And then I'll roll it into a ball. All right, that's got it pretty mixed up there. Tell you what. Now we're going to take a little bit of it here. I'm going to stick it right in that little spot. And then we're just going to pull all the excess out of it. Make sure we got it down in that hole real good. Press it in. I got a little more here for this little teeny tiny place. Rub it in. Now, once it's all good and dry, which is going to take a couple of days for it to really set up, you get, I think they say 72 hours to really make sure that it's good and hard. And then I'll go over it with just a little sandpaper to sand it off good and even with the cup. And then I'll take a little paint and blend it in. So now I'm just rubbing off all the excess with my finger. I just want enough of it on there that it's going to coat the little gouge. I'm not trying to cover the whole cup up in it. But at the same time, I don't want to leave any of that hole exposed either. So now there's another little spot right there. We can put just a little piece in there. Boy, I'll tell you what, if you watch that video where this thing shot across the room, wow. I tell you, that had caught somebody, it'd probably sent him to the hospital. That leg spun that thing. Now, we're not going to mistreat you here, Mr. Cup. Donald tried to beat you up over there. But you wanted to live here with me, didn't you? You said that crazy red-headed woman take better care of me than Donald will. Donald, I can't thank you enough for sending this to me. man, I tell you what, you do some beautiful work. I mean, I'm proud to have anything you make, even if it's got a little damage to it. You know, whatever problem it has, we'll fix it. I mean, you know, if push comes to shove and this doesn't patch up the way I want, I can still do what I originally intended. And, you know, it's just, I'd probably start over here where this is and then come down and around. I'll make this into a circle and then come down with another little line along so that it leaves a, to bring the yarn right down into the hole right here, into the guide. And there's another little teeny tiny place there that I touch. Now that'd be easy touched up with just a little bit of paint. Match some paint up to the colors on it. And I'll just keep stroking at that to smooth her down. I used to be a song out. Some of you might remember it about stroke it to the right, stroke it to the left, stroke it to the one you like the best. And there you go. That's what we're doing. We're just stroking it. Just tap it in. And you can always take your, oops, getting this stuck to it up there. Now, while this stuff is still pliable, see there's a little scratch in it there too. That can kind of be buffed out of it. But I'm going to take this piece of putty while it's still pliable, where it starts setting up, and I'm going to rub it into a mold here. Pull the excess off the edges. It's a little dragonfly this will end up being. These make nice little additions to projects, and as a matter of fact, it'll be very easy to take any one of the little wood putty designs that I put through the little silicone molds, paint them up, and put them right over top of that. Or I've got some metal embellishments too that would look good on there. So, you know, if I can't match up the paint, I can always cover it with an embellishment on there to decorate it. So one way or another, we'll get her done. But in the next episode that I do on this pot, on this cup, you'll get to see me finish it up, whether it's to paint it or to put an embellishment over it, or, you know, whatever I end up doing with it to make it look pretty. But anything can be fixed. You just sometimes have to be creative about how you fix them. So, say I've got that all pushed down in that mold real good. Peel some of this off the edge of it, so we don't have a whole lot of chiseling to do when we pull it off. Because I'll tell you what, when this sets up, it sets up hard. It's really kind of difficult to work with once it's hardened up, because, man, you know, it's an epoxy and it's meant to harden up. It's not a clay. You could take sculpting tools, I guess, and run over that if you wanted to smooth it down, but I find it's just as easy. I can feel it better to run my hand over it. And see, there it is. It's a dragonfly. It's the back side of the dragonfly, and once it dries, pop it out of there. But we'll have to set that to the side for a day or two and scrape all that off the desk. and come back here to my pot and let's see here. Take a little scraping tool. Just smooth that down. Smooth it down as smooth can be. Scraped a little of the excess off of there. Now I'm going to smooth it out with my fingers. See, your fingers are warm. You got body temperature going in your fingers, and the warmth gets into that epoxy and makes it work a little bit better. It's easier to deal with it with your hand than it is to try to deal with it with a sculpting tool. But the sculpting tool will smooth it out to a certain degree. Pull some of the excess off of it. So you just do whatever works for you the best when you're messing with this stuff. But see, I just filled that hole right in there. It won't take much to sand it. Now that one's not quite filled in enough. Let's see. Get a little piece of this putty that I pulled off the table, and we'll put just another little touch in there. Because I'd like for it to all be filled in. So I run my finger over it. See, I don't want to feel any divot to it. I want to feel it nice and flush. There's a divot to it. You didn't get it filled in. Put a little more putty to it and push it down in there real good. And then you just kind of rub the excess off of it. Just take your time with it. I think little teeny tiny places like that are harder to fill than if you had a great big gaping hole. There, that's a lot better. Now see, there's a place there, a little place right along there where my thumbnail is that isn't filled in quite right, but I'm going to have to move with this putty because it's starting to get firm. So get on the project what we need to get on it now. Move a little quicker. There's a little spot there yet. Do just a little filling in. Just kind of rub the excess off of the cup. Come around the edges of it. And there, I think I've got it pretty well filled in. I'm going to touch this spot again if I can. Now, there we go. Make sure I got it in there good and deep. Pressed in well. You got to figure as it dries, it's going to shrink just a touch. So there we go. There it is, patched. Now, I can't paint it until this stuff dries, so there'll be another episode here with me filling that in. Now, so there's some little natural places here in the seam that could be filled in, but I'm not going to worry about them. I mean, that's right there along with the knot. That's just a natural place in it. And I'm not going to worry about these little scratches over here on it because I might be able to just sand them out. Now I'm picking up pieces of epoxy from the table, rolling that around. So we'll get that scratched off of there. There we go. And that is how we patch the little pot. And if you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to see how we're creative here on the BrendaG Designs channel. And share it on your social media everywhere, you know. I mean, not just Facebook or Twitter or, you know, whatever ones you're on. Share it everywhere. If you're not subbed to me, please do. I'd love to have you as a subscriber on the channel and a regular contributor to the comments. You leave comments on mine, I'll leave comments on yours. That's how this all works. And with all that being said, there's only one thing left to say, and that is Brenda is crafty. Be like Brenda.